we do see that, that Latino evangelicals tend to be more conservative on a range of issues, not just social issues. They tend to be more evenly divided between Republicans and Democrats than Catholic Latinos. And on particular issues, for instance, the Middle East, they show a much higher level of support for Israel than do Catholics and other Latinos. And that clearly seems to be an influence of the kinds of theologies that you see in the evangelical community.
Does that trickle up to elected officials? Are they aware of that? Do they change how they speak to Latino voters, how they speak to congregations? Does it end up meaning anything in effect?
I think that it depends on the state. I think, you know, for example, during the last election of President Bush, he had a savvy sense of how to address Latinos. John McCain was burdened by an immigration policy that was a negative one. And so, like on the immigration issue, that seems to unite a number of Latinos, be they Catholic or Protestant. So, and Catholics particularly hear about that from the pulpit. So there are two issues that people hear from the pulpit that are common among Latinos. The abortion issue and the immigration issue are more common. Less common, especially among Catholics, is issues of homosexuality, where that's high in evangelical churches. And so if there is a swing vote, I think there's a swing vote among Latino evangelicals that are oriented toward a Republican or Democrat, because, you know, there's evenly divided. The Catholic Latinos are very, very pro-democratic, especially after the immigration issues of the last 2 years. So I think depending on how Republicans craft their messaging, particularly around immigration. Personally, I think when I look at the statistics from the Pew Research Center, the Hispanic Research Center, I see that immigration is a proxy for discrimination, meaning that when people talk about immigration issues, it's a way to talk about feeling discriminated against. And Latinos from whatever group feel very strongly that there's still discrimination against us in the United
Professor
States.
Pumar, I can't help but feel that the discussion of how Catholic teaching affects social behavior ends up being cramped, flattened out, simplified when you talk about contraception and homosexuality, when there's a wide range of Catholic teaching that would be particularly germane to Latinos when the Church speaks of wealth and poverty, of structural economic problems that disadvantage the poor, about incarceration, about capital punishment. It seems that Latinos are not very much heard on these topics, but they're very much part of the religious dialogue in this country.
Well, once you take into account the issue of immigration and abortion, in other issues, Latinos have the same concern that many other voters have. They care about economic opportunities, they care about educational opportunities, they care about the well-being of their families. So the emphasis, the political emphasis on opportunities goes along with Catholic social teachings and resonates among Latino voters, because after all, they came here for better opportunities. So the moment we frame these issues around the question of opportunities, it always resonates with Latinos. And if we look at the data, I think the data substantiates this. The Latinos are very interested in, getting out of the recession, having more jobs, providing more opportunities. I think that close to 90%. I saw in one of the surveys that close to 90% of the Latinos between the ages of 18 and 24 believe that educational opportunities are a way for career and advancement and social status. So this is an issue that is pretty much is a concern that is pretty much similar with other voters in the United States. In those sense, the Latinos are not very much different. They are different in that they emphasize immigration, They are concerned about discrimination, and they are also concerned about abortion.